My name is Kaye Sotomi, founder and CEO of Chop Chop London. To start, of course, as the second speaker, I got to keep the momentum up. So I'm going to ask you to join me in a couple things. The first is to take a moment to sit in gratitude. We talked about yoga this morning. After that lovely sort of start, I think it's important for us to start with gratitude. For everyone that you love, for everyone you care about, for your journey, for the process and everything that you've gone through, for the ability for us to be here together today to speak about creativity and ideas in a world that seems to be going crazy around us. It is truly a privilege and an honor to be here. So yes, that's the first thing. The second thing is, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the Creativity Conference. Playfulness is a part of that, okay? So I'm going to ask a question, and I need you to come back with an emphatic response. The question is, are you ready to continue the Creativity Conference 2025? And you're going to come back with, hell yes, okay? All right, are we ready for it? I'm going to count down from 3 to 1, and then we're going to go. So 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to continue the Creativity Conference 2025? Hell yes. All right. I love the energy. Fantastic. Excellent. Once again, my name is Kaye Sotomi, founder and CEO of Chop Chop London, a hair care company established in 2018 with the sole purpose of democratizing inclusion in the hair industry, whilst also designing spaces that truly looked at sustainability and addressing reducing carbon emissions in small retail businesses. Now, when we talk about what does it mean to reinvent an industry with creativity, purpose, and leadership, I think this very moment is how it starts, right? So for anybody that doesn't play poker, I don't play poker either, but this is a metaphor for the moment that you go all in. You go all in on an idea, on something that you believe in. You take a chance on yourself. You take a chance on an idea and something that just drives you, a burning flame that drives you to want to do something more or different from what you're doing. Now, some people call that moment the moment of insanity, right? But actually, I believe that we're led by these three things when you step into that space: creativity, purpose, and leadership. Creativity being curiosity. As human beings, we are hardwired to ask questions, to inquire. Creativity is innate in every single one of us. Purpose is the sheer desire to want to be more than what we perceive our immediate circumstances to be a part of something bigger, a bigger story. And leadership is our aspiration. The aspiration that we have of ourselves. Nobody comes out as a good leader. There's no way to go out and learn how to be a leader. This thing happens by actually taking the steps. So we're going to start with leadership. And I love this definition by Carl Rogers that says, creativity isn't something to measure, it is something to liberate. And I want you to think about that liberation part of it. Because over time, as we move from children to adulthood, as Maxime said, we lose the creativity, the playfulness. We get busy being adults. And that can get boring. The reality is creativity is supposed to be released into the world. And that's where we start to connect with our higher self and surrender. I love this phrase by Socrates that says, the thing that I know is that I know nothing. This is philosophy. I know nothing. So why not question? Why not ask questions? Why is something the way it is? Does it mean because it's always been that way, it needs to stay that way? What are the things that I can do to change my narrative and my story? And that is an important part. So this is one of those moments for me where I started rethinking and innovating through purpose and creativity. Here, I had just moved from a $1 trillion industry in the renewable technology space and moved into hair care, a much smaller industry, but led by a real reason to do something different and want to be a part of something. And this is the presentation that I presented to Formula E, which is the electric car version of Formula One CEO. Because at the time, there was no idea, there was no way to think about how could a hair care business that had started only 8 to 16 months before get in front of a multi-million-dollar business like Formula E. But I did that. I presented an idea that said, we can be more inclusive, we can create a greater experience for the fans that come there by creating something that was super cool and unique in the helmets so that we could create hairstyles, and that could mean that teams could support, people could support their own teams and do all of that kind of stuff, which is amazing. So we went to Rome, Paris, Berlin, which was fantastic. Now, this point is where we start to understand the very idea that Steve Jobs, the great Steve Jobs, left us with, which is stay hungry, stay foolish. Because if I had sort of not thought about doing or trying new things in old spaces, there's no way that I would have been able to make some of the changes and the impacts that I made. Innovation demands playfulness, curiosity equals passion, but most importantly, you have to believe in yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. Sometimes, as we get adults and become adults, we want external validation. We no longer listen to the internal compass that lies within us to sort of push the agenda and what we believe to be true out there into the world. But I've also realized that if you stick around long enough, no matter how crazy the idea is, if you stick around long enough, it finds relevance. So we keep doing that. And I love this from Denzel Washington. He says, ease is a greater threat to success than hardship is. The truth is, regardless of what happens, whether or not you choose not to follow your creative pursuit or you pursue it. If you pursue it, you risk ridicule, you risk failing, you risk all those things. But if you don't pursue it, you also risk regretting it, which is also a hard thing to live with. So, when you remember that Coca-Cola was a failed medicine and that Post-it notes was a failed glue, that's to tell you that if you just create it, put it out in the world, it will find its relevance. The next part is purpose. Purpose ideally is the core of everything. Without purpose, creativity has no essence. Without purpose, you're like a kite in the wind with no specific destination. Instead, what you want to be is you want to be a compass. You want to be a compass with the dial set to the North Star with clarity. When a compass is in a storm, no matter what happens, it is always set to the north. So no matter where you are, you will never be lost. And I love the saying that Barack Obama says here is that purpose is the enduring belief that our stories are bound by a common good. By a common good, it is all about humanity. Creativity is all about humanity. So it's important that we pursue that. And of course, if you follow the Simon Sinek's of the world, you know the golden circles. The why is the most important thing. How and what you do is not as necessary as important as why you do what you do, which is important. And this comes back to my story, which is why I created my business. When I got into the industry, for every 100 salons in the industry that catered to a person of Caucasian hair, only one would cater to a person of mixed heritage, black, curly, or straight or afro hair. And I didn't think that that was okay. I thought there was enough space for inclusion in hair salons and the retail experience, products, and all of those things. Understanding that diversity is not a choice. Diversity is a fundamental part of life. However, inclusion is a choice. To choose to include is the difficult thing. So I focused on that, but also understanding community, bring community together, but we also have to respect the planet and understand all the life forms, all the species that also require us as a superior being to hold our own and to create something and to protect their lives. This opened up, again, more opportunities. I've worked with a lot of brands, amazing opportunities across different continents. But if you go and find any of these things, you will never read once about the hair or the vanity that we do. It is about the purpose that led us to what we do that made them write about us. And that is super important to understand. That creativity and that purpose also led to me creating this documentary, which, if you get a chance to, please sort of scan the QR code, check it out, because it's an amazing story about community. You will see yourself in every single character. You will find a character and find yourself in there, and understand that our stories, although we're different, there's a shared connected tissue that connects us all in one way or another, which is something that we need to continue to explore. And now we go into leadership. That part that we become as a direct result of going through and taking on the challenges of our creative process, of being bold and stepping into it. I love this saying by the great Nelson Mandela: "Do not judge me by my success. Instead, judge me by how many times I fall down and get back up again." Ladies and gentlemen, success has many fathers. Creativity is an orphan. And that's a sad story, but it is very true. For every single person in this room that has ever created something or has ever had a door closed and had to rebuild their own door to get in, this is a moment of victory where you understand that it's not about the successes that you have, it's your resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity that ultimately makes us who we are and allows us to step into that leadership in a way that is just unbelievably profound and inspirational to others. Sometimes it feels like you are that single line between communities. Show of hands, how many people here are business owners, founders? There we go. Fantastic. Even if you are in the leadership role in your organization, I'm going to ask you all to give yourselves a round of applause right now, please. Just give yourselves, honestly. Because if you live in the UK, it's felt like we have struggled for a long time to create opportunities and to lead with courage and empathy, which is something that we must always remember to do. You know, to choose the hard road is important, so we continue to do that. Lead with integrity and vision. As always, we solve real human problems, but we also have to proactively shape the future that we want to be a part of. It's not going to come just because we expect our leadership to do it. We have to start from within our own space. And of course, we focus on opportunities for collaboration, where we build ecosystems rather than monopolies. In conclusion, I would like to say, creativity requires us to be playful, so stay foolish. Purpose is your internal North Star compass, so stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Leadership is who you become, so never stop learning, folks. Thank you very much.